In India, resentment on the citizenship law has not subsided. Hours after a massive rally took place at Delhi's Jama Masjid, hundreds of protesters took to the streets. Dramatic visuals emerged in which protesters were seen running. Police used water cannons on them. As we speak, prohibitory orders remain imposed in 12 police stations in northeast Delhi. Massive protests took place in New Delhi's Jama Masjid. Students and local residents took to the streets. In a major step, the central government of India has decided to accept suggestions from the protesters on the controversial citizenship law. This comes as people from all across the country are protesting against the law in unison. Fresh protests broke out after the resentment deepened. Demonstrations taking place in at least 7 districts of the northern state of Uttar Pradesh. Protests broke out after Friday prayers as thousands of people defied statewide prohibitory orders. Police officials lathi-charged and used tear gas shells to disperse them, with protesters pelting stones and attempting to set vehicles on fire. Mobile internet remains suspended in several parts of Uttar Pradesh. Violence has been reported in 7 major districts of the state. Protests also broke out near the iconic Charminar in the southern city of Hyderabad. And these are latest visuals coming in from India's capital, New Delhi, where protesters have clashed with the Delhi police. They've been seen running on the streets. Mind you, these are the visuals that are coming in from just a short while ago. So the situation remains extremely tense in India's capital, Delhi, as protests continue unabated despite prohibitory orders. You can see there's a candlelight march that is taking place, heavy police presence, and now we have Sonia Gandhi addressing the media live. Let's cut across and listen in.
Defend their fundamental rights and uphold the foundational values of our Constitution. Jai Hind.
That's Sonia Gandhi of the Congress Party, sending out a message to the world through that recorded video message. Even as protests continue to break out across Delhi and across the country. These are latest visuals of the protests in Delhi, where despite heavy police presence and the police firing water cannons to disperse the protesters, tension remains high. Anger over the Citizenship Amendment Act reverberating in the national capital and across the country. Even as protesters hold marches, there are prohibitory orders. Keep in mind, Section 144 has been imposed in parts of Delhi. And despite that, protesters gathering on the roads and then being dispersed by the heavy police presence over there, police firing water cannons, and this even as incidents of violence and arson are being reported. Visuals on the screen of a vehicle being set on fire and then being doused and rescued by the security officials. Clashes between the protesters and the police resulting in damage to public property in India's capital, New Delhi. Bear in mind, there have been peaceful protests all across the country, including Delhi.
Capture. पत्थरबाजी शुरू हो गए हैं।
Visuals on the screens are from Bulandshahr in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh witnessing many incidents of violence in the protests. Police and security officials seen firing tear gas, even as protesters set fire to vehicles. Now, while some protests were peaceful, some did become violent, which did eventually lead to the destruction of public property. A lot of protests were also fueled by fiction masquerading as facts. WION now brings a detailed report in which it differentiates between fact and fiction relating to the NRC, or the National Register of Citizens, and the CAA, or the Citizenship Amendment Act. The first question asked is whether CAA is part of the NRC. The answer is that CAA is a separate law, while the NRC rules and procedures for the country are yet to be decided. Is NRC specific to a religion? No, NRC will cover all religions. No one can be excluded from the NRC. It is a process to register oneself as a citizen. How is Indian citizenship decided? It is decided by birth, descent, registration, naturalization, and by incorporation. What are the details required for NRC? Government says that it is sufficient to provide details of birth and parents to prove citizenship. Though the government is yet to take decisions on documents, the government sources say that documents are likely to include voter card, passport, Aadhaar card, licenses, insurance papers, birth certificates, school certificates, and documents related to home. The process is likely to incorporate even more documents further. Sources also say that for pre-1971 genealogy, document submission would not be required. For the illiterate population, community verification and witnesses would suffice. Even identity from welfare schemes would be used. The NRC will not discriminate between transgender, atheist, Adivasis, Dalits, women, and landless without documents.